Hey there, survivor. If you can hear this, it means you're still alive. This is Jack's Nightmares. And before we begin, just a quick heads up. New stories are now available on my new channel, Jack's Nightmares Official. If you want to keep following the journey, please subscribe there. You'll find the link right in the description. Thanks for your support. Now, let's get into the next story. I'm standing on what used to be my neighbor's house. My own place is 2 blocks inland, or it used to be inland, and it is still there. But the first floor is full of brackish water, and the back wall bowed after the storm that hit in late summer. I moved when the wall started talking in little pops at night. Not a metaphor. Actual pops. Nails shifting. Wood flexing. I could hear the building getting ready to fail, so I crossed over roof to roof with a pack and a length of rope, and I picked the house that had the best angle on the canal and the least obvious way in. This one used to belong to a retired guy who kept his windows covered even before the world ended. That helped me. Dark houses don't pull eyes. Dark houses don't pull boats. Today is day 362 by my count. I scratched the number into a strip of soft wood I pried off a closet door, and I keep the strip tucked behind the attic insulation so nobody sees it if someone ever gets in here. I don't mark days because I need hope. I mark days because time makes you sloppy. If you don't track it, you stop planning. You stop rationing. You start making decisions based on how hungry you feel, and hunger lies. The first year taught me that hunger will convince a good man to do stupid things. I see 2 shapes down by the old pharmacy sign. The sign is bent and half underwater, so only the top of the letters show when the water dips. The shapes are in the water, waist deep if they were alive, but they aren't alive. They keep pushing forward even when the current shoves them sideways, and their arms sweep the surface in slow arcs. They aren't swimming. They're walking and losing traction and regaining it. Every time one finds a patch of pavement, it lurches ahead 2 feet. Then it slides back. Then it tries again. That's the rule that matters here. Water does not stop them. Water slows them, confuses them, drifts them, but it does not stop them. If you think it stops them, you die in shallow water with your back turned. My left hand checks the line tied to the roof vent. The other end is tied around my waist under my shirt. I don't trust wet shingles. I don't trust wind gusts. I don't trust my own legs after months of climbing and squatting and moving weight wrong. One slip and I go into the water, and the water is full of nails and broken glass and fishing line and things that cut without making noise. Cuts get ugly fast when you can't keep them clean. I keep the line because the line gives me a second chance. It also makes me slower, and being slower has its own cost. Everything has a cost now. I slide back toward the roof hatch and drop into the attic feet first. I land on a sheet of plywood I laid across the joists months ago. The attic is low, hot when the sun is up, cold when the wind shifts, always dusty. I keep most of my supplies in sealed buckets because mice and moisture don't care that the world ended. I keep my food in one bucket, my medical stuff in another, my tools in another, and I keep a separate bucket for things I'd trade if trading ever becomes safe again. That last bucket stays light on purpose. A heavy trade bucket would tempt me to take risks. I pull the hatch closed, and I don't latch it all the way, because I want to be able to shove it open without a click. Noise matters more than comfort. I move into the back corner where I can look through a slit I cut between 2 boards. It gives me a view of the canal without exposing my whole face. I see the water surface chopped by wind, and I see the 2 drowned shapes still fighting the current. I also see something else, and I freeze in place without letting my knees lock. A boat, not a drifting skiff, a real boat with someone paddling. The boat is a flat-bottom John boat with a dark tarp over the bow. I can't see the motor, but I don't hear one, so either it's dead or the man is smart enough not to use it here. The paddling is steady, not frantic. That's a person who knows this area. The man's head turns in small movements, scanning roofs, scanning windows. He is hunting for people, not for food. That's worse. Food hunters look at stores and back doors. People hunters look at rooftops and shadows. I shift my weight back, away from the slit, and I keep my breathing quiet without thinking about breathing at all. I just focus on stillness. I don't move toward my gun right away. That's a lesson I learned the hard way. The first time I pointed a weapon at someone in the ruins, my hands shook and my brain went narrow, and I missed what mattered. I don't let myself go narrow anymore. I watch first. I listen first. I decide second. My gun is wrapped in a towel inside a plastic bag, because salt air eats metal. It's a revolver my father kept in a lockbox under his bed at the vacation place. It isn't a magic solution. It's 6 shots. And if I use even one, every drowned thing within a long stretch will start moving toward the sound. The boat slows near the pharmacy sign, and the man leans to look at something in the water. Maybe he sees the drowned. Maybe he sees the debris. He lifts the paddle, sets it across his knees, and reaches for a pole. He pushes down into the water to test depth, and the pole hits pavement. He nods to himself. That nod tells me he is thinking about walking. If he gets out and walks, he becomes loud. Loud draws drowned. Loud draws walkers on higher ground. Loud also draws me, and I don't want to be drawn into anything today. I back away from the slit and move across the attic on hands and knees to keep the boards from creaking. I reach the bucket with my binoculars, lift them out, and slide back into position. I angle the binoculars through the slit without letting the lenses bump wood. The man's face comes into view. He's not from my street. I don't recognize him. He has a sunburnt neck and a shaved head and a cheap life vest that looks too clean for someone living out here. Clean gear means he is either new or he is backed by a group with storage and discipline. Either way, he is a problem. He pulls a small handheld radio from his vest pocket. He doesn't transmit yet. He listens. I can't hear what he hears, but his eyes flick left when the radio crackles. He lifts it to his mouth, speaks a short sentence, then clips it back. I don't get words. I get meaning. He isn't alone. He is scouting. That means he isn't desperate in the simple way. He is a piece of a larger plan, and larger plans chew up solo survivors fast. I set the binoculars down and crawl to the hatch again. I need to get to my lower hide, the one I can disappear into if someone decides to check this house. The attic is safe from drowned, but not safe from humans. Humans climb. Humans search. Humans set fires when they get angry. I swing the hatch open an inch at a time so it doesn't pop, and I slip down into the dark hallway below. The house is stripped. I took doors off hinges months ago to use as planks. I keep the floors mostly clear so I don't trip. I also keep glass and cans out of here because a kicked can in an empty house is an alarm that echoes. My lower hide is behind the old bathtub upstairs. The bathroom has a window that faces the canal, and I covered it with a panel cut from a dresser back. Behind the bathtub, there is a crawl gap where pipes used to run. I widened it with a hammer and patience, and I laid a thin foam pad inside. It smells of mildew no matter what I do. I accept that. Comfort is not the point. Not being seen is the point. I slide into the gap, pull the panel back into place, and I wait with my knife in my right hand. I don't grip hard. Hard grips cramp. Cramped hands drop tools. Waiting is work now. People talk about waiting as if it's nothing. Waiting is listening for the wrong splash. Waiting is counting seconds between paddle strokes. Waiting is deciding whether the scrape you heard was a branch or a boot. My mind tries to replay old life when I wait. It plays the morning at my coffee shop, the hum of the grinder, the line of tourists, the easy talk. I don't let it. Old life makes you soft for half a second, and half a second is enough for a man to kick in a door. I keep my focus on the canal side. The boat bumps something, a dull thud, then a second one. The man is pushing past debris closer. I hear a soft splash that tells me he put the pole down again. He is moving in a line that brings him within sight of this house's side window. If he looks up at the roof hatch, he might notice the faint scrape marks where I open and close it. If he notices marks, he checks the house. If he checks the house, I have a choice I don't want to make. I don't have a heroic plan here. I'm not saving anyone. I'm not clearing the town. I'm surviving. That means sometimes I let a stranger pass even if I could stop him, because stopping him makes noise, and noise brings a bigger problem. It also means sometimes I hurt someone before he gets close enough to hurt me, because waiting for proof is how people end up tied up on a roof while someone takes their food. I learned that lesson in the second month when I tried to be decent, and it cost me a bag of rice. 2 cans of beans, and my good rain jacket. The man who stole them smiled the whole time. The boat drifts into view through the thin crack where the bathroom panel doesn't quite meet the wall. The man is closer than I want. He isn't just passing. He is slowing, turning his head toward this house. I can't see his eyes, but I can see his chin lift. He's scanning up. My knife stays in my right hand, but my left hand slides under the foam pad and finds the handle of the revolver. I don't pull it out yet. Metal on plastic can make a small sound. Small sounds matter. He speaks again into the radio, this time longer. His voice carries through the open air, muffled but clear enough to tell he is calm. Calm means control. Control means he expects support to arrive if something goes wrong. Then I hear a second boat somewhere to the left. Not close, but close enough. A paddle slap. Water drip. 2 boats means a net. They're working a pattern. If I stay in this house, the pattern will eventually hit it. I make the decision that hurts, not the decision that feels good. I don't take the shot. I don't even aim. I slide the revolver back under the pad, and I start moving out of the crawl gap as slow as I can, keeping the panel steady so it doesn't scrape. My escape route is through the back bedroom window, down onto the slanted porch roof, then across a plank bridge to the next house. I built the bridges out of fence boards and closet doors. They are ugly, but they hold my weight. They also creak if I step wrong. I ease the panel into place, roll out of the gap, and crawl to the bedroom. The bedroom smells of wet drywall. The floor flexes in one corner where water damage ate the subfloor. I avoid that corner. I keep my hands flat to distribute weight. The window is already cracked open a finger width for ventilation. I widen it carefully, and I slip out onto the porch roof. The shingles are slick with morning moisture. My rope isn't tied here, and that makes my stomach go tight. But I don't let that turn into speed. Speed is how feet slip. The plank bridge to the next house is tied down with nylon rope that frayed in the sun. I replaced it twice. I test the plank with my hand, then I shift one knee onto it. It holds. I move across in a crouch so my center stays low. I hear the closer boat behind me, closer than before. The man is still scanning houses. I keep my head down and my eyes on the plank, because falling would be loud and also final. I reach the next house, a 2-story with a collapsed carport. I slide in through a broken window that I patched with a loose board months ago. Inside, I move through a narrow corridor I cleared of debris. I don't live here. This is a pass-through, a shadow route. I keep a small cache under the stairs. 1 bottle of water, 1 small can of fruit, 1 roll of bandage. The cache is for the day I run with nothing. Not today. Today I run with enough. From the back of this house, I can see the canal without exposing myself. The scout boat has stopped near my old house. He has his pole down, and he is holding steady. Then the second boat drifts into view, and a second man speaks to him. I can't hear the words. I can see the posture, short nods, hand points. Both look up at the roofline. They notice something. Maybe the hatch marks. Maybe my plank bridge. Maybe a shadow that didn't belong. It doesn't matter. They are now interested. Interested is bad. I move deeper into the house and take the route that leads toward the flooded strip mall. The strip mall is half underwater and full of drowned. That sounds stupid as a destination, but drowned are predictable if you respect distance and sound. Humans are not predictable. I'd rather thread a line through drowned than get boxed in by 2 men with radios. I take my paddle pole, a long fiberglass rod I found in a garage, and I strap it to my pack so it doesn't knock walls. I keep my knife accessible. I keep my revolver sealed and buried in the pack because I'm still not willing to ring the town's dinner bell. The back window drops me onto a narrow ledge over water. I step onto a floating piece of dock that I tethered to the foundation. It bobs under my weight and slaps the house once. The slap sounds loud to me, so I freeze and wait for a response. The only response is distant gull noise and wind. No new splashing, no voices. I step onto the dock again and move along it until I reach my canoe. It's an old plastic canoe with scratches and patched holes. It sits half hidden under the overhang of a collapsed porch. I push it out with the pole and ease myself in. Canoeing through a dead town teaches you a lot about mistakes. Paddles drip. Drips make a pattern on still water. Patterns catch eyes. So I don't use a paddle unless I have to. I use the pole to push against submerged pavement, and I move in short, controlled shoves. The canoe scrapes a signpost, and the scrape makes my teeth set hard. I stop again. Nothing responds. That doesn't mean I'm safe. It means I didn't ring the right bell. The drowned near the pharmacy sign are still there. One has drifted closer to a light pole and is snagged on it. Arms looping around the metal every time the body bumps. It keeps trying to step forward even though its legs are tangled in something below. The other drowned has found a shallower patch and is moving in a straight line now. It turns its head once, slow, as if it hears something. It might have heard the canoe scrape. It might have heard the men's voices. Either way, it starts angling toward the canal channel. That channel is deeper, and deeper water makes drowned drift faster when the current takes them. I move along the edge of the flooded street, staying near the tops of bushes and fence posts where the pole can find something firm. My goal is the strip mall roof access on the far side, where there is an old maintenance ladder. The ladder is rusted, but rust can still hold if you test it. On the way, I pass my old coffee shop, or what's left of it. The sign is gone. The windows are blown out. The inside is a dark aquarium with chairs tipped and floating. I don't stop. Stopping makes you sentimental, and sentiment is an anchor. A year ago, I would have told you the outbreak started on a Tuesday, because my week used to have shape. Now days don't have names. I only know it started when the ferry stopped running without warning, and the local radio station cut into music to read a list of public health advisories, in a voice that sounded forced. The first advisory was to avoid the hospital. The second advisory was to stay indoors. The third advisory never finished, because the signal died and didn't come back. People dismissed it at first because the town always had storms, and storms always made the world act strange for a day. Stores ran out of water and bread, and everyone said it was temporary. Then the videos started moving phone to phone, and then phones stopped working. After that, it was only what you saw with your own eyes, and what you saw depended on where you stood. I saw it at the marina. I went there because my parents' vacation place had a small sailboat docked, and I still had keys in my drawer. My plan was simple. Get the boat, go offshore, wait. That plan died in front of me when a man stumbled down the dock with a torn shirt and a blank face, and a second man tried to help him and got knocked into a piling. The first man bit at him, not a little nip, a full bite with intent. The helper screamed, shoved him off, and then the first man fell into the water and didn't drown. He sank, hit bottom, and stood back up under the surface, moving slow but steady, hands sliding along the dock posts. That was when I understood this was not a normal riot or a normal sickness. That was when I ran. I didn't get the sailboat. I never even reached the slip. The crowd surged, people pushing to get away, and a golf cart flipped in the parking lot because someone drove it straight into a curb at speed. The noise drew more of the sick ones. People tried to fight. People tried to film. People tried to pray. It all mixed and made more noise. I got shoved into a stack of crab traps and cut my right palm on wire. That cut mattered for weeks. Salt water got into it. The skin split every time I gripped something. I wrapped it in duct tape and it still split. Pain didn't stop me. Infection almost did. I had to clean it with the last of my liquor and accept that it would burn and make me clench my jaw and keep going anyway. The strip mall comes closer. The roof is low and flat with puddles that never dry. The water below it is darker, and darker water means deeper. Deeper water means drowned drift faster and pop up where you don't expect. I keep my pole ahead of the canoe and I probe. The pole slides into nothing for a full arm length, and that tells me I'm on the channel edge. I angle away until the pole hits pavement again, then I creep forward. The maintenance ladder is visible now, bolted to the side of the building. It dips into the flood. The lowest rungs are underwater. That makes them slippery, but it also makes them less noisy. I pull the canoe in close, hold it steady with one hand on the ladder rail, and step onto the first rung I can feel under the water. I don't stomp. I set my foot down slow, weight transfer controlled. The rung holds. I climb one rung at a time, keeping my pack tight so it doesn't swing and thump. Halfway up, I pause and look back toward the houses. I see the two boats again, smaller now, moving. One is headed toward the roofline path I used. The other is circling, watching. They are searching. They haven't given up. That tells me I made the right choice leaving when I did. I reach the roof and roll onto it on my stomach, then push up onto my knees. The roof gravel sticks to my wet hands. I crawl to the far side where the roof access door used to be. It's gone now. Someone ripped it off months ago. I use the opening to drop into the dark interior, and I close the makeshift panel behind me. A piece of metal I hung on a wire so it settles without clanging. Inside, it smells of mold and old food and wet cardboard. I don't stay long. This place is a route, not a home. Moving through the strip mall interior is slow because everything echoes. A footstep on tile can travel down the whole hallway. I wear soft shoes, and I place each step with my heel first, rolling forward to reduce slap. I pass the pet store and I see fish tanks cracked and dry, and I don't look longer than a second because staring at old life steals attention. I pass the hardware store, and I stop only long enough to check my stash spot behind the counter. The stash is still there. 2 batteries, a small bottle of antiseptic, and a pack of disposable lighters sealed in a plastic bag. I take 1 lighter. I leave the rest. If I take all of it, I become careless later. At the far end, there's a service door that opens onto a back lot that's less flooded. Less flooded means more walkers. Walkers are worse than drowned in one way. Walkers have traction. Walkers can corner you. Drowned drift and stall. Walkers keep coming if they get a line on you. I crack the service door and I look through the gap. The back lot is a mess of cars stuck at odd angles, half submerged. I see one walker between 2 cars, head twitching in small movements, arms hanging. It isn't searching in a smart way. It's responding to sound and movement, not to strategy. That's the rule I learned early, and it stayed true. The dead don't plan, but the dead don't tire. I back away and choose the rooftop route instead. There's a maintenance hatch that leads to an exterior ladder on the far wall. That ladder climbs to the roof again, and from there I can move along awnings and fence lines until I reach the old bait shop building, where I have a second hide and a freshwater setup. The bait shop sits on slightly higher ground because it was built on a concrete pad after a past flood. That pad became my lifeline. I don't have a well. I don't have running water. What I have is rain collection and filtration that I built from scavenged parts. And it fails sometimes. And when it fails, I get sick until I fix it. I climb back up to the roof and crouch low against an air conditioning unit. The unit doesn't run, but the metal body blocks wind and sightlines. I scan for the 2 boats again. I don't see them now. That's not relief. That's uncertainty. Uncertainty forces you to assume the worst. I move along the roof edge and drop onto an awning over the nail salon. The awning flexes, but holds. I crawl across and reach the chain-link fence that separates the strip mall from a back residential road. The fence is topped with barbed wire that sags in places. I grip the fence posts, climb, and swing my leg over where the wire droops lowest. I don't rush the drop. Dropping heavy would rattle the fence. On the other side, the ground is damp but not submerged. That means my footprints exist. Footprints matter. Humans follow footprints. Walkers also follow disturbed ground sometimes, not because they understand it, but because noise and motion tend to happen where ground is disturbed. I step on patches of gravel and broken concrete to keep tracks messy. I move toward the bait shop using the shadow of a long row of pine trees. The pines creak in wind, and that creak is cover. It also hides other sounds, which can be bad. I keep stopping to listen in the gaps between gusts. Halfway there, I hear a shout from the canal side, a human shout. Short, sharp, angry, then a second shout, then a splash that sounds heavy, a body hitting water. That tells me the boat crew found something or someone. If it was another survivor, it might be over fast. If it was drowned, the noise could pull a crowd. I keep moving anyway. Curiosity kills. It also traps. I keep my route, and I keep my head down. The bait shop comes into view, and my shoulders loosen by a fraction because the door is still in place and the chain I rigged across it is still tight. No one has been here since I left 2 days ago. I don't go straight in. I circle once, checking windows, checking the roofline, checking the ground for fresh scuffs. The back alley has a puddle with an oil sheen. No new ripples. No recent disturbance. I slide through my side entry, a hole in the rear wall I boarded with a panel that lifts out. I set the panel back into place behind me. Inside, it's cramped and smells of bait rot that never fully leaves the wood. I accept it because rot smell is normal here. Normal smells don't draw attention. I move to my water station. 2 clean trash cans sit under a gutter that I redirected with plastic pipe. One can catch as rain. The other is for filtered water. The filter is layers, cloth, charcoal I made from burned wood, sand I washed, and a final pass through a store-bought cartridge I scavenged early and have been nursing for months. The cartridge is near the end of its life. I can taste it now. The taste isn't a metaphor, it's a real change. The water has a faint plastic edge, and it leaves my tongue dry. That means the cartridge is not doing what it used to do. That means I'll need to boil more often, which means fire, which means smoke, which means risk. Every fix becomes a new risk. I set my pack down, strip off my wet outer shirt, and wipe down the revolver with a rag and a drop of oil. I check the cylinder without clicking it open hard. 6 rounds are still there. 40 minutes ago, I was willing to leave without ever touching it. Now I keep it within reach because humans are in my area again. And humans with radios mean a group. A group means nights get dangerous. Nights are when boats move. Nights are when flashlights sweep windows. Nights are when someone decides to clear a building by yelling into it, then firing to see what moves. I eat standing up. Half a can of beans, cold. I chew slow because fast eating makes you sloppy. I also drink only a mouthful of water because if I drink too much now, I'll need to use the bathroom later. And bathroom trips are loud if you do them wrong. That sounds ridiculous, but living alone in a dead town makes you learn what noise is. A dropped spoon is noise. A belt buckle tapping a chair is noise. A cough you can't stop is noise. I've held coughs down by pressing my face into a towel and breathing through my nose without turning it into a drama in my head. Just mechanics. Keep quiet. I move to the back window and watch the canal side through a gap in the boards. The boats are not visible from here. That doesn't mean they left. It means they might be closer, using the trees and roof lines to hide. Smart humans hide too. I take out my notebook and I write 2 lines with a pencil nub. 2 boats, radios, scout pattern. Then I write, "Do not return to attic house until proof of departure." I don't journal feelings. I journal decisions. If I get tired or sick later, the notebook reminds me what I already proved. When I survived the first month, I thought the hardest part would be the dead. I was wrong. The dead are a physics problem. Sound draws them. Motion draws them. You solve the problem by not making sound, and not being seen, and not getting cornered. Humans are a trust problem. Trust has no clean solution. Every human you meet wants something. Sometimes it's food. Sometimes it's company. Sometimes it's power. Sometimes it's a scapegoat. Early on, I tried to share. I tried to be reasonable. I helped a couple with a toddler get across a flooded street by giving them my spare rope. They promised to bring it back. The man returned without it and said it snapped, and his eyes didn't match his words. 2 days later, I saw the same rope tied to the bow of his boat. That was the day I stopped treating promises as currency. Night comes faster in winter, and winter is here now, even on the coast. The air drops and the damp cold gets into everything. Cold changes the drowned. Not because they get smarter, because water moves different when wind changes and tides shift. Debris piles in new places. Routes you trusted become blocked, and when it's cold, I can't keep wet clothes on without consequences. Wet clothes in cold air turn you slow. Slow gets you caught. I hang my shirt near the back wall where it can dry without touching the floor. I don't light a fire. I use a small battery lantern with a red filter that I made from an old taillight lens. Red light leaks less through cracks. It's not perfect. It's better than bright white. I hear the first engine at full dark. A real engine, not a distant generator hum. It runs for maybe 10 seconds, then cuts. That's someone testing a motor. Someone got tired of paddling. Someone thinks the risk is worth it. 10 seconds of engine noise will move drowned for a long distance if the drowned have a clear channel. It also tells me the boat group is still close. I kill my lantern and sit in the dark, listening. I don't hold my breath. I just keep my body still and my mind on the sound map. A second engine burst happens, closer. Then I hear a thump, wood on wood, a boat bumping a dock or a porch. Then voices, low and fast. I catch one word, clear. That word makes my jaw set hard because I've heard it before. Clear means they are going building to building. It means they are looking for supplies and people. Clear also means they think they own the area for the night. People who think they own the night do ugly things. I shift to my back room hide, a narrow space behind stacked bags of old mulch that I dragged in months ago. The bags are heavy and they absorb sound. Behind them, there's a gap between studs where I can crouch and stay unseen if someone cracks the door and sweeps a light. I slide in, pull one bag slightly to cover the seam, and I keep the revolver in my lap with the barrel angled down. I don't aim at the door yet. Aimed guns make you rigid. Rigid makes you jerk. I want controlled movement if the door opens. Footsteps on the dock outside, not on the ground, on wood. The dock creaks in a pattern that tells me two people, not one. A light sweeps through the front slats of my boarded windows, thin lines of pale white. The light pauses on the counter area, then it moves on. A voice says, "Empty." Another voice answers, "Check the back." That second voice is closer. That second voice means the danger is now. The back door handle rattles once, careful, testing. Then the door pushes, and the chain holds. The chain makes a small metallic tap. One of the men mutters something I can't make out. He tries again, harder. The chain holds again. If he yanks too hard, the chain will snap a screw out of the frame. And then the door comes open with a loud crack that pulls every drowned ear in a mile. The men might not care if they plan to leave fast. I care, because I live here. I don't shoot through the door. That would be blind, and blind shots create problems you can't see. I also don't speak. Speaking invites negotiation, and negotiation gives a man time to decide how to hurt you. I wait. The handle rattles a third time, then the man stops and steps back. I hear fabric brush. He might be raising a boot to kick. I shift my weight, ready to move, and I keep my eyes on the seam where the door meets frame. Instead of a kick, I hear a knife scrape on wood. He's trying to cut the rope that holds the chain anchor. That's smart. That's quiet. Quiet is the enemy here because quiet lets him work without drawing drowned. I move my left hand to the floor and feel for the loose nail I planted under the mulch bags. The nail is connected to a thin fishing line that runs to a glass jar by the back corner. The jar is my alarm if someone breaches the door. If the line pulls, the jar tips and shatters. The shatter is loud, but it's inside, and it gives me warning, and it also makes the intruder flinch. It's a trade. The fishing line tightens. The jar tips. It falls. It doesn't shatter right away because it hits a soft patch of old cardboard. That's bad luck. The man's knife keeps scraping. I make the decision I've been avoiding all year. I move. I slide out from behind the mulch bags without letting them rustle, and I crawl low across the floor toward the side entry panel. The side entry is my quiet exit. It's also a narrow choke point. If someone is outside watching, I'll pop out into a trap. I accept that risk because staying means the door opens and I'm trapped. I reach the panel, lift it 1 inch, and pause. No voices at the side. No footsteps. I lift another inch. Still nothing. I slide the panel up fully and slip out into cold night air. The water nearby reflects faint starlight, and that reflection makes silhouettes visible. I keep my body tight to the wall. I move in a crouch along the building edge toward the back corner where my canoe is tethered. I can hear the men at the back door still working. The knife scrape continues. That means they haven't noticed me leaving. I reach the canoe and grip the rope tie down. My hands move without shaking, because I've done this 100 times. Practice makes you boring. Boring is survival. I loosen the knot, ease the canoe off its resting spot, and lower myself in. The canoe makes a soft rub against the wall. I wince, but nothing reacts. I push off with the pole and move into the canal channel, staying in shadow under overhanging branches. Behind me, the back door finally gives. Not with a loud kick, with a slow, controlled pry. I hear wood fibers crack, and the chain clinks as it slips. A light beam spills out onto the water for a second, sweeping wide. It misses me because I'm under the trees. I keep moving. I don't look back again. Looking back makes you drift off route. Drift makes you bump debris. Bumps make noise. Noise makes drowned turn. I guide the canoe toward my emergency hide, the second floor of the old bait shop's neighbor building, a 2-story insurance office that sits on a concrete slab. I don't love that place. It has too many windows. But it has one advantage. The stairwell is intact, and I block the bottom stair with a heavy filing cabinet that takes time to move. Time is safety. Time gives me space to act if someone follows. As I pass the corner where the street opens into a wider flooded area, I see shapes in the water ahead. 3 drowned. 1 snagged on a stop sign. 2 moving. Their heads turned toward the light behind me. The men in the bait shop are using a flashlight now, sweeping the interior. That flashlight is a lighthouse beam for the drowned. The 2 moving drowned start drifting toward that direction. If the boat crew stays there, they'll get company. That's good for me, because company for them means attention away from my canoe. I keep my pole strokes slow and quiet and let the current carry me. I reach the insurance office and pull the canoe into the shadow of the slab. My fingers find the ladder rungs I bolted to the concrete months ago. I climb with my pack on, and that makes it harder, but I can't leave anything behind. I slide into the second floor window I keep cracked for this purpose, and I pull the curtain back into place behind me. Inside, the air is stale and dry compared to the bait shop. Dry means less mold. Dry also means dust, and dust shows on dark clothing if you brush walls. I keep my back off the plaster. I settle behind a desk and wait with the revolver out, cylinder checked, muzzle angled down. I hear distant voices from the bait shop area. One voice is angry. Another is laughing. Laughing at night in a dead town is a warning sign. People who laugh in that situation aren't scared enough. Not being scared enough makes them do reckless things. Reckless things get other people hurt. A crash echoes across the water. Something heavy knocked over. Then I hear a string of rapid sounds that are not shots, more of a series of impacts. Wood on metal, metal on glass. The boat crew is tearing the bait shop apart looking for hidden supplies. That will keep them busy for a while. It will also leave traces that drown will follow later. The drown respond to sound, but they also respond to movement patterns in shallow water. When a crowd forms around a noisy building, more drown drift in over time because the first few keep making sound. It becomes a slow pull. The boat crew doesn't understand that, or doesn't care. I stay still until the voices fade. When they finally do, I don't assume the men left. I assume they changed position. I stay still longer. That's the discipline part nobody talks about. Moving too soon because you want relief is how you get caught. I force myself to count in my head. Not fast counting, slow counting. I count up to 300, then I restart. After 3 rounds of that, I risk a look through a cracked blind. The canal area near the bait shop is darker now. No flashlight beam. I see one boat silhouette moving away, paddling toward the bridge. I see the other boat lingering near the pharmacy sign. That second boat is waiting. Waiting means he expects something. Maybe he expects his partner to return. Maybe he expects someone to run. Maybe he expects drowned to gather so he can use them as cover. I don't know. Uncertainty stays. This is what the first year became for me. Not one long chase, not one heroic stand. It's a chain of choices that all feel bad, and you pick the one that keeps you breathing. You learn what you fear by watching what you avoid. I fear being trapped indoors with a human who has nothing to lose. I fear making a noise I can't take back. I fear an injury I can't clean. I fear waking up to water rising and realizing I misjudged a storm. That last one almost ended me in the 7th month, when a tropical system rolled in from nowhere and the tide came up a foot higher than any tide chart from the old world would have predicted. That night, water climbed the first floor of my original house faster than I believed possible. I woke up because the floorboards started floating and bumping the underside of furniture. The bumps made a hollow sound, and that sound woke drowned outside. I heard hands on the porch rail. Not a lot, just a few, then more. I climbed to the second floor and watched the water fill the stairwell and realized the house was turning into a box. If the house shifted off its foundation, I'd go with it. I cut a hole through drywall into the attic crawl, and I crawled out through a vent onto the roof in driving rain, using a rope tied around my waist. The rope saved me because wind knocked my feet sideways twice. I didn't fall because the rope caught and burned my side through my shirt. I still have the scar. The scar isn't a symbol. It's evidence of a mistake corrected just barely in time. After that storm, I started moving my life into higher places and spreading it out. One cache here, one cache there, food in 3 spots, tools in 2, water collection in 1 main spot with backups. That made me harder to wipe out in 1 hit. It also made every day more work, more routes to check, more traps to reset, more places to defend. Survival is not 1 bunker door and a deep breath. Survival is inventory and maintenance, and being tired without letting tired make you careless. I adjust my pack straps and stand, moving slow so my joints don't pop loud in the quiet room. I decide to relocate again before dawn. If the boat group is systematic, he will return tomorrow. If he returns tomorrow, he will follow the pattern, and he will eventually bump into my caches. I don't want to be here when that happens. My next hide is the old water tower maintenance platform at the edge of town. It's higher, it's exposed, and it has one advantage that matters. You can see boats coming from far away. You can't hide easily, but you can avoid. Avoidance is my strongest tool. I move to the stairwell and listen at the top of the stairs. No footsteps, no voices. I crack the door and peer down. The filing cabinet I shoved against the bottom stair months ago is still there, angled just enough that someone has to wrestle it to get past. Nobody moved it. Good. I descend quietly, step by step, keeping my hand on the rail to steady weight. I don't use a flashlight. I know the stairwell by memory and by touch. The less light I throw, the less I advertise my outline. Outside, the night air is cold enough to make fingers stiff if you stop moving. I don't stop. I slip back into the canoe and push off. I keep close to shadow lines. I avoid open water. Open water gives any watcher a clean silhouette. As I move, I hear a distant groan that is not wind. A walker sound. Slow, rough, human-shaped. I keep my pole shallow so I don't strike underwater objects, and I aim for a stretch where fences still poke out of the water. Fences give drowned something to snag on. They also give me navigation points in darkness. The water tower sits on a small rise that used to be a municipal lot. The lot is partly flooded, but the base is dry enough to stand on. I pull the canoe under a collapsed awning and tie it off. Then I climb. The tower ladder is metal and cold and damp. Damp metal makes hands slip. I climb with gloves even though gloves make grip less precise. Bare skin on cold metal loses strength fast. I learned that last winter when I tried to climb barehanded and nearly dropped my pole. Dropping the pole would have made noise and left me without a tool. I don't repeat it. Halfway up, I pause and listen. Sound carries weird up here. Wind wraps around the tower and can hide footsteps below. I keep climbing anyway, because staying halfway is a trap. Up is visibility. Up is control. I reach the platform and crouch behind the maintenance shed, a small box of metal panels that blocks wind. I pull my pack up, settle it, and take my binoculars out again. From the tower, the drowned town looks even more broken. The street grid is a dark quilt of water with occasional dry strips and rooftops. The bridge out of town is a line of concrete and lights that no longer work. Beyond it, there's higher land where people might have built something stable. I haven't gone because leaving this water maze means crossing open ground, and open ground favors groups with rifles. I'm one man with a revolver and a knife and a strong reason to stay unseen. I find the boats in the binoculars. One is near the bait shop still. The other is halfway toward the bridge, moving slow. That tells me they are splitting tasks. One holds a position, one reports back. That is organized. Organized groups grow. Growing groups push out solo survivors. If I want to survive year 2, I need to decide whether to stay ghosted in the ruins or take a risk and move out while I still can. The thought sits in my head and doesn't go away. There's a reason I stayed in the drowned town this long. It isn't bravery, it's math. Flooded streets reduce human movement. Boats can move, but boats can't sprint. Boats have limited routes and limited silence. Flooded houses make loud entry points. Anyone trying to hunt me has to expose himself on open water or climb on roofs that creak. The drowned are a barrier too. They don't guard me on purpose, but they punish noise and chaos. In the first months, I watched 3 different groups try to take the marina. Each time, the noise drew drowned in from channels, and the fight turned into a mess of splashing and screaming, and people falling into shallow water where hands grabbed at legs. I didn't need to be a hero, I just needed to not be there. On the tower platform, I lay out my small kit and do maintenance, because maintenance is what keeps you alive longer than luck does. I check my knife edge, touch it up with a stone. I check my rope for frays, retie the knot. I check my bandage roll, count the squares I have left. I check my food, 2 cans, 1 bag of rice, a handful of jerky I smoked under a hidden metal drum weeks ago. Not much. Enough for days if I'm careful. Not enough for weeks unless I fish. Fishing makes movement. Movement makes risk. It always loops back. At first light, fog rolls in from the water and turns the whole town into a muted shape. Fog is cover and fog is danger. Cover because boats can't spot you as far. Danger because drowned can drift close without you seeing. I stay on the platform and watch the bridge route. The boat that was moving toward the bridge stops near a cluster of rooftops. A second boat appears from behind a building, smaller. That means there are more than 2. That means the scout pattern I saw was just the front edge. I make the call I've avoided for months. I'm leaving the drowned ruins. Not today, not in a rush, but soon, and with a plan that doesn't depend on luck. I can't carry everything. I can't protect every cache. I can take what matters, and burn what I can't take, so it doesn't feed the group that's creeping in. That sounds harsh. Harsh is normal now. If I leave a month of food in a stash, that food becomes fuel for someone who will hunt other people. If I burn it, nobody gets it. That's the kind of choice the first year teaches you. I stay on the tower until the boats move away from my immediate routes. When I see the nearest one drift south, I climb down and head back into the drowned grid with controlled speed. I don't sprint. I don't splash. I return to the insurance office, then to the strip mall roof route, then toward my attic house only long enough to confirm what I already suspect. The plank bridge I built is gone. Not broken, removed, clean cut. That's a message. Someone found my route and dismantled it to see if I rebuild. That tells me the group is patient. Patient groups kill lone survivors. I don't rebuild. I don't even go inside. I watch from a distance through binoculars, mark the house in my mind as compromised, and I move on. I hit 2 of my caches instead, fast and quiet, taking only what I can carry. Extra rope, 1 bottle of water, 2 lighters, 1 small jar of salt, and the last of my antibiotic pills. The pills are past the date that mattered in the old world, but old world dates don't always mean useless. Sometimes old is better than nothing. I've used them once this year when a cut on my shin started showing red streaks. The pills didn't heal me by magic. They gave me enough margin to keep moving while I cleaned and wrapped and waited. As I move through the ruins, I keep seeing signs that the town is changing in a new way. Not just decay. Human marks. Fresh rope tied around a porch post. A painted arrow on a rooftop beam. A small pile of cigarette butts on a dry slab. Those are recent. That means the group is staging. Staging means the ruins are no longer a quiet maze. The maze is becoming a camp. A camp becomes rules. Rules become enforcement. Enforcement becomes someone deciding you're a problem. Near midday, I hear a voice call out from a rooftop across a flooded street. "Hey, you moving through?" It's a man's voice. Not yelling, not whispering, controlled. That control sets off alarms in my head. I don't answer. I slide my canoe behind a broken fence line and crouch low. The voice calls again, closer. "We can help. We got food. We got fuel. Just talk." The tone is friendly. Friendly is often a tool. I stay still. I watch the rooftop through a gap. I see a man's outline and a long object in his hands that could be a rifle. He has backup. I see a second shape behind him, crouched. I don't negotiate. Negotiation needs leverage, and I don't have enough leverage. I also don't shoot. A shot would pull drown, and it would also confirm I exist. I let the men talk into empty air until they get bored, or decide the risk isn't worth it. After a minute, the first man spits into the water and says something to his partner. They both back away from the roof edge. That's not a victory, that's a warning. They saw enough to know someone is here. They'll keep looking. I move again, deeper into the drowned section, because deeper means more drown and fewer clean roof routes. The men won't want to follow too far into a mess that could slow their boats and snag them. I use that to buy time. Time is all I'm buying now. Time to pack. Time to choose a route out. Time to find a safe moment to cross the bridge zone without getting spotted by the people who already claim it. That night, back in a temporary hide under the strip mall roof access, I take inventory of what the first year cost me. I lost my shop. I lost my apartment. I lost my phone, my friends, my parents, or at least I lost certainty. I don't know if my parents are dead. I never found bodies. I found their car half submerged near the highway ramp, door open, seats wet, glove compartment dumped. That could mean they ran. It could mean someone dragged them out. It could mean the dead got them. Not knowing is its own weight, and it pushes you toward bad decisions if you let it. I don't let it decide for me. I decide based on what I can prove. I can prove this. Staying in the drowned ruins was a good strategy when nobody wanted them. Now people want them. Once people want a place, it turns into a fight whether you asked for one or not. So I plan my exit. I don't plan it around a big heroic push. I plan it around boring details. Move at dawn when boats are least active. Follow drainage ditches on the inland side where water is lower. Cross under the bridge instead of over if the tide is low enough. And aim for the Pine Ridge 2 miles north where I once saw smoke that looked controlled, not accidental. Controlled smoke can mean a camp. It can also mean a trap. Still, Pine Ridge offers cover and higher ground. Higher ground offers options. Before I leave, I do one last thing that feels cruel but clean. I return to the bait shop and I set my remaining stored food inside a metal trash can. I pour a small amount of gasoline I've been hoarding into it. I don't splash. I don't make a show. I light it with one of my lighters, and I close the lid most of the way so the fire burns hot with limited smoke at first. It will still smoke eventually. Everything smokes eventually. But the early burn is contained, and it destroys what would feed the boat crew. I do the same with my secondary stash in the insurance office. I don't burn the building. I burn the supplies. I do it fast and leave. Fire is risky. Fire also ends certain problems. At dawn on day 365, the fog is thin and the wind is mild. The water level is lower than last night. I take that as my window. I load the canoe with what matters. Water, rope, knife, revolver, a small first aid kit, lighters, a tarp, and the notebook. I leave behind the heavy things that slow me. I touch the wall of the bait shop once with my palm. Not as a goodbye ritual, just a final check of reality. Then I push off into the channel and aim for the inland route that leads out of the drowned ruins. As I move, I hear distant voices again, but farther now. The boat group is awake. They are hunting. I keep the canoe in shadow, and I avoid open stretches. I pass drowned that drift and snag and reach, and I give them space. One bumps the side of my canoe with a wet thud. The canoe rocks. I freeze, let it settle, then push away with the pole without splashing. The drowned keeps reaching, hands scraping the canoe's rim, then it loses contact and drifts back. That scrape leaves a mark on the plastic. The mark is real. It's a line of grime and salt, and it reminds me how close I am to being pulled into water I can't control. I reach the underside of the bridge by mid-morning. The bridge supports are thick concrete columns with barnacle lines, where high tide used to hit before the world got weird. Under the bridge, there's a narrow strip of rubble that stays dry at low tide. I pull the canoe onto it and crouch behind a broken chunk of concrete to listen. Above, on the bridge deck, I hear footsteps and a voice. Someone is up there, maybe a guard, maybe a scavenger. I wait until the footsteps move away, then I drag the canoe along the dry strip under the bridge, staying low so nobody sees me from above. The drag makes a soft rasp. Soft rasp is still sound. I stop twice to let the world settle. On the far side, the ground rises. Not much, but enough. Grass exists here. Weeds grow. The air smells less salty. That change hits me hard in a practical way because it means my metal won't rust as fast and my water collection won't taste as brackish. It also means walkers can move easier. Dry land is a different kind of danger. I step out of the canoe, pull it into a ditch line, and cover it with the tarp in a way that breaks up the shape. Then I shoulder my pack and start walking north toward the pine ridge. Behind me, the drowned ruins sit quiet for a moment, but I know quiet doesn't mean safe. Quiet means someone is watching or someone is repositioning. I don't look back again because I've learned that looking back pulls you into mistakes. I keep moving forward, one careful step at a time, scanning tree lines, listening for human voices, watching for the dead in the ditches. This is the end of my first year. Not a victory, not a clean finish, just a decision that keeps me alive long enough to see another morning.